Oh man. All right, so third time's a charm. Trying to get this going quickly. All right. This is Crypto.XL. Welcome aboard as we continue our journey into the crypto space. Okay, that's a little bit better. All right, so today's topic will be the Ethereum ETF. And I see I am getting some audio here. Audio could be a little bit stronger, actually. That would be nice if it was a little bit stronger. Growing pains, guys. Growing pains. I don't normally go live, but I guess it's good to change things up every now and then, right? Yeah, good to change it up. So, the Ethereum ETF. On the 23rd, which is tomorrow, right? On the 23rd, the Ethereum ETF might be passed. If it doesn't get passed tomorrow, then it's only a matter of time before it does get passed. And also, Bitcoin is above 70,000. As long as it's above 69,000, it's incredibly bullish, right? Because there's normally, I think I'm going to pause the video for a little bit. I'm getting distracted. There is normally a quick uptick in Bitcoin once we start to, once we break all-time highs, which we've done. Then we go sideways. In the past, we've gone sideways for a few months, and then after that, does like a straight line upwards. So like 3 months is usually a 3-month bullish pattern where Bitcoin really just starts to spring into action, and you get a very powerful uptick towards the upside. So if that happens again, Bitcoin could really go parabolic. And if you miss those 3 months, like let's say the 3-month uptick, during that uptick, Bitcoin could double or even triple. And if you miss that, then you pretty much miss the bull market. So that's why it's important to always have a position and always stay in the market. Because if you don't do that, it's almost impossible to time that. No one knows exactly when that's going to occur. Right. So the bottom line with crypto, as I'm saying, is that you want to make sure that you always have a position and that you stay abreast of what's going on in the market. And you don't try to time it. You don't try to get in and get out. Because trying to get in and get out of the market is a fool's errand. It's impossible to know exactly when you're going to get that uptick to the upside, right? There's no way to know exactly when that's going to happen. So about a month and a half back, I was talking about Ethereum, and I was saying how Ethereum is what I want to get into, and I would get into Ethereum. I trade some of my Bitcoin and go into Ethereum, and the reason being is that I expect that at this point in the 4-year cycle, Ethereum to outperform Bitcoin. And what we're starting to see happen is Ethereum is starting to outperform Bitcoin, right? And now it shows that it would be, it would have been a better trade to just hold Ethereum for that time period. Ethereum is doing quite well now. But that also leans on what's going to happen to the rest of the market, right? Because with Ethereum performing so well, it's just a matter of time before that spills over into the altcoins, and then the altcoins start to perform really, really well, right? So I'm continuing to accumulate. I'm not getting out of the market. I'm not trying to time it. I'm not trying to wait until I see some Bitcoin kicking and then jumping back into the market because I think Bitcoin is about to do something really, really well. I've just been accumulating on the dips, and I think that's what you should be doing too. And I'm just letting you know what I'm doing. Of course, this is not financial advice. But I'm just giving you some feedback as far as that, where my mindset is. And I'm also focused primarily in the altcoins, right? I'm really, I like Bitcoin. I like what it stands for. I like what Ethereum is doing, allowing you to do decentralized finance on the blockchain. But I want to make gains. I want to make life-changing gains this cycle. And so that's why most of my funds are going to be focused on the altcoins. Okay, so with that being in consideration, my alts, my top alts, off the top of my head, I would say AI tech has to be mentioned. Very, very strong altcoin. I think that could do 20 to 30x at this point. Next check is going to completely kill it. We're talking about 40 to 50x from this standpoint because of this pullback, this recent pullback. DIA, which is still getting beaten up. I continue to DCA into DIA because I'm a long-term thinker. I'm not short-term. I'm not trading this. I'm not looking for a quick sell to the upside and then buying back. Because again, the people who really make money in this market are the people who buy early into solid conviction plays and they hold for the long term and then they reap the rewards in the future, right? This is not really the time to be selling it right now. It's not, selling for a 20% gain. I mean, what's the point of that? Like, it takes the entire cycle. It'll take over a year and a half, maybe, for you to get the real, multiple X. You're looking for 30, 40X. That's a year and a half. It's not buying and selling, buying 1 week and selling in 2 weeks. That's not the game. The game is buying solid conviction plays, spotting value when others do not see the value. DCing into those positions, especially during times of fear, and building a very big foundation. But you could then DCA out in the future when these coins are up multiple X's, when there's hype, hysteria, mania, and the sentiment is just overly bullish to the point where people feel like crypto could never, ever go down again. At that point is when you start DCAing out. So it's basically trading against sentiment. So if the sentiment is extremely bullish, you should be fearful. You should not be going into a bullish sentiment market and accumulating at that point. By that point, it's too late when the sentiment is not bullish. I would rather accumulate during bearish sentiment. So when the sentiment is bearish and when people think that this project is a scam and that crypto is going to go to zero and they should have never invested in it. This is just, know everyone in crypto is a scammer and we should not invest in it. It's a waste of money. At those points throughout history, those were the points where I was accumulating. And I will continue to accumulate the more that I see this. The more that I see bearish sentiment, is the more I'm going to accumulate, right? And when the bullish sentiment comes back in, that's when I'm going to start to come out of my positions, right? So how does this all relate to the cryptos I'm looking at? So to get back to the point, the Ethereum ETF is going to help to push and propel the market to new highs. And it really is just a matter of time. So the Ethereum ETF, it could get past tomorrow on the 23rd, or it can get pushed to, further along Q4 of this year or early Q1 of next year. But the bottom line is that we will have an Ethereum ETF. And that means that we'll have a Bitcoin ETF and we'll have Bitcoin ETFs, which we already have. We have Bitcoin ETFs and we will have Ethereum ETFs. Okay? So there's going to be multiple lanes and ways for people to invest in crypto. The institutions, the 401 401ks, or to hedge funds, to institutional investors, which will end up pushing the price of Ethereum beyond $10,000. So if you want a low risk, high reward play, I would start looking at Ethereum, because Ethereum was already described by the SEC chair as not being a security in the past. So long term, you're going to have to pass a bill that allows Ethereum spot ETFs. So the smart thing to do is to build up a position before all of this happens. You don't build it up when Ethereum is already 10K. You know, at the point when Ethereum is 10K, maybe at that time you start looking for somewhere else to park the price, because the valuation is already multiplied, it's already on 3x. Okay, so maybe at that point it's time to start looking at something that is not already going multiples up, right? And God forbid you put light leverage at 2x leverage or 3x leverage. Now your Ethereum trade can end up performing like a recap altcoin. You know, so that's just really interesting. So again, Ethereum is bullish, which means that the other altcoins, the altcoins underneath Ethereum, are going to be bullish, right? So my small caps are going to be performing phenomenally. I don't need leverage on my small caps. They're going to be doing, 40x's, 50x's, and just off the top of my head, I'm going to list a few, right? There's AI Tech, there's GPAI, there's OpenFabric, there's Metaverse, there is EIA, and of course my favorite, NextCheck. There's just so many of them, and there's many that are going to be coming out. Meta-X is coming out, right? AIM just came out. There's a high dilution of gaming, but it's been beaten up recently. AEG, other games, has been beaten up. There's just so many gems, and it's just so easy to accumulate at this point and just hold. If you hold these for 1 year, I think that they will perform really, really well. Not financial advice, of course, and just an investor like you are. But absolutely, I'm bullish about the market. I'm bullish about the future and where we're at. Right? So this was my not my first slide. This is my second one, and I wanted to bounce some ideas off you guys. But I think that if you look at the sentiment in the market right now, the sentiment in the market is not really that good. Even though Bitcoin is now hit 70K again, 71K, the sentiment is still not there. So the masses and retail are still not there. People are not paying attention. When people are not paying attention and when there's not that much hype, you should be accumulating. You should be accumulating at this point. Not financial advice, that's my opinion, right? But that's when I accumulate. I accumulate when no one wants to crypto, when no one is paying attention. And when there is all this hype and mania and people have money in their pockets, when the government starts sending out stimulus packages, and when the interest rate starts going down, and when the DXY starts falling, and when all the risk-on assets and all assets start pumping to astronomical levels, real estate, stocks and bonds, gold, equity, once they start pumping to astronomical levels, then it starts spilling over into high-risk assets such as cryptocurrency. My bag will be so big by that standpoint. By that point, I will have so much crypto that I won't have to worry about selling too early, because I will be trickling out, right? My bag will be so big, I'll be slowly coming out. And, whatever happens in the market at that point, I should be in profit. So that's the way I see it. I buy low to keep my risk low. I don't want to have high risk, right? When everything is confirmed and the market starts coming back and things are going 5x, 8x, 10x, that's too late for me to buy. Because buying at that point, I will need to invest a larger amount to have a big enough position for me to get life-changing things. So I don't want to do things that way. I want to wait until there's panic and there's been panic for a while and we've just been going down and we've been going down for over a month. It seems like we're just heading down. And at that point, I'll start paying attention and I'll be like, maybe it's a good time to start slowly DCAing, right? And I'm slowly DCAing it now. And in the future, when things have turned around and the sentiment is the exact opposite to when I started producing in. When there's euphoria and everyone's saying the only way is up, the bull market will never end, will never be this high, and will never come down again. The minimum level for Bitcoin will be 120K. Once all of this euphoria sets in and everyone's thoroughly convinced, to where a voice of reason, a voice of conservatism becomes the abnormal voice. When that becomes an abnormal voice, I will be seeing it. And it really is just that simple. So we're looking at Q4 of 2025 as the climax for the time period where we believe that the market will start to decline and start to turn around. So we're assuming that we'll have a normal 4-year cycle, and that the pinnacle or the peak of the 4-year cycle will be Q4 of 2025. Now, if things repeat, that's what will happen. But we don't know for sure if it's going to be exactly Q4 of 2025. I will say that the prior 4 times, it has been the 4th year being the height of the market. So it's been that way for the prior 4 cycles. So history repeats itself. It rhymes. It's not exact. The other time it's been either November or December of the 4th year, right? So the 4th year will be 2025, and that will be approximately November or December of 2025. Now, we can have a situation where we end up extending and going into 2026 due to the ETFs. That could possibly be the case. That could happen, right? Or you might have something bad happens to the economy that truncates the cycle, or maybe the institutional investors that have access to Bitcoin decide to end the cycle decisively early just to shake market participants out, or maybe they short the market and they crash it. Right? Literally anything can happen at this point. Nothing is written in stone, right? So all I can say as a savvy investor is that you would want to get in low and you want to sell high, right? So you could always get in low, and then when you feel that we're at a very high point, you could take out your initial cap with a slight amount of profit. So which means that you'll always be in profit no matter what happens, right? So there is psychology that you can use to lower your risk. There's things you can do to lower your risk. But at this point, with Bitcoin being in the 70s, which is the support of the prior bull market, and the fact that altcoins we have not seen a climatic explosion in altcoins, one could assume that it's still a good time to accumulate altcoins, right? So I still believe it's a good time to accumulate altcoins. So I am getting altcoins, especially the ones that I wanted to get that I missed in the first pump. There were a lot of coins that pumped earlier that seemed, kind of far away, such as Engine Starter, Engine Starter that went pretty high, AI Tech, extremely high, Open Fabric, very high, AGIX, very high, Fetch AI. I mean, all the AI coins have pumped tremendously in the prior period, and these coins have pulled back now over 60%. I guess an easy way to look at the market is to pick the ones that were the front runners, the ones that performed the best in this last run that we've had, and just accumulate them while they pull back. The second thing I would say is that the meme coins outperform. The meme coins did extremely well. Another easy strategy is just to pick the meme coins that outperform. And these coins are, again, they pull back 70%, some ridiculous percentile. So if you're calm and if you have funds that you can spare, funds that you won't miss, maybe it won't be that much. Maybe it will only be like, maybe you only put in like $100 or you put in $50 and you slowly DCA into the strong meme coins that outperformed in the last pump. Pepe, Wojak, Dog with Hat, Bonk, of these meme coins that had astronomical gains before, and now they're down a ridiculous percent. I remember there was a period of time, probably about 2 months ago, when I mentioned a few meme coins on my site, and they were like, really small cap ones, like shares and SK. These things are down 80%. So the normal thesis or way of looking at coins that fall 80% is that they're dead, right? That's a normal thought. Like if it's falling this low, I'm going to get rid of it. I don't want anything to do with it because it's going to continue to fall and I don't want to lose money. But the issue is, and the problem is, that if these things survive, these are the projects that are going to 20x your money. Those ones that are down 80% in a pullback, but the ones that have performed before, but they're now down 80%. Those are the ones that are going to 20x. So I'll keep an eye out. So Samuel Atkins, how you doing, by the way? Okay, Samuel says, I'm excited for the upcoming bull run. Still waiting on my tax return so I can invest more into altcoins. Well, thanks for your comment, Samuel. Thanks for your comment. Now, as far as waiting for your tax return to invest in altcoins, and as far as being excited, yeah, I think that no one knows. I don't think people understand what's coming. What we've seen coins pump, right? We were here to see a select few coins do a 45x from the inception of when Bitcoin started heading up. Bitcoin was at 15,500. Now we've seen some of them. Biot did 100x. The Mitra DMPR also did 100x. So there are coins that have performed. There are many coins, if you look at from that inception, from the bull run started, from November of 2020, 2023, when Bitcoin was at 15K 500, there are many coins that have done 40x, 20x, 15x. And a lot of people weren't here and weren't investing to get those kind of returns. So from there to here, there are outliers of coins that have performed really, really well. Nakamoto Games is another one that's done really, really well. But what I'm saying is that towards the second half of this bull run is when we start to get more of a parabolic raise in altcoins, right? So basically there are going to be more coins that are going to go 45x, right? It won't just be those select few. There's going to be a lot more coins that are going to have a high fundamentals, and the heights that they're going to reach, that's the second thing. They're going to get a lot higher than what we've seen before. So something like investing $2,000, depending on the project, can end up turning into a substantial amount of money. And by substantial, I mean $2,000 could turn into $80,000. So it could end up being a really, really big amount of money. And it's towards the end. It's towards the end of the cycle when you finally get that check mark where you just go straight up. And during that check mark, that's when the altcoins, like the small cap altcoin, let's say you have altcoins that have already done something like they've already gone like 30x. During that last little blip, that's when those altcoins go 120x. So I think absolutely looking forward to accumulating now and accumulating during the pullbacks is a very good idea. Not financial advice, but personally, that's what I'm doing. I've been accumulating this entire time, but I'm going to accumulate some more because I want some serious life-changing gems. Another question or statement is from Samuel is, how possible would you say current 100K diversified portfolio in crypto can make someone a millionaire during this upcoming war? How possible could a current 100K diversified portfolio? I will say at this point, it is not only possible with that amount of money. It is nothing in life is guaranteed. So guaranteed is not the right word. possible is not the right word either. Yeah, likely will be a better word. It's likely that a portfolio of that amount will turn into $1 million because that's simply a 10x. I would actually be surprised if it did not turn into $1 million. Especially, there's a few things I'm going to say, right? Especially if you have a little bit more knowledge than the average retailer. Okay, and I'm going to say a few more things to classify that statement and to put it into the proper perspective. Number one, the fact that you're paying attention to crypto at this point, the fact that you're seeing this channel in particular, and then also the fact that you're seeing this live in particular, kind of shows me that you're paying attention to what's going on. Retail in general has lost interest in crypto. The viewership is at close to an all-time low. It's not at an all-time low, but it's in that range where it's close to an all-time low. People do not care about crypto. The average retailer, the average consumer does not care about crypto. We've seen in the prior cycles that to reach the culmination or the peaks of the market in that final 4 months or the final 6 months is when you have the retail hysteria and the retail mania. So retail comes in droves during the last final months of the bull market. And the fact that the interest in crypto is close to the lows shows us that we're quite a ways away from the peak of the market. Even though the price of Bitcoin is at around the all-time highs of the 2021 cycle, the interest is not there. So it shows us more than likely we have a year to build up on the mania. So the fact that we're still accumulating now means that, and again, right, if you have that much amount of capital in crypto, you can get your 10x without that much risk, actually, So my channel focuses on the small cap altcoins, the ones that are going to give you 30x, those kind of numbers. But I mean, if your goal is to do a 10x safely, you could always there are two ways to do it, right? You can get into safe leaders such as Solana, right? Solana will probably 10x, probably I would say 8 to 16x, or it'll do somewhere around that, right? IMX will do quite well. Polygon Matic will 10x, right? There's just so many. Heroes of Mafia will 10x. Galagame will probably 8x. So there are ways to do it where the risk is low. Dogecoin, by the way, will more than 10x from here, I believe it will, right? So you can ADA will 10x. AVAX will give you a nice 15x, right? So in other words, it's easy. It's easy to 10x from here, very easy. And that's what a part of the safe portfolio, right? To secure the bag. And then for your high risk plays are the coins that I talk about and I specialize with on this channel. So instead of putting a lot of money into the high risk plays, you can just put some in. DexCheck from this point will 20 to 40x, right? Open Fabric AI, 30x, AI Tech, 30x. There's just so many of them. So will it 10x from here? I think it will do way more than that, actually. Way more than that. At this point, it's almost like a can't miss. You can get a couple of these stable ones that I mentioned before, like the mid caps and the high caps. Even some Ethereum. Ethereum probably 4x. Mid caps. If Bitcoin doubles or triples, it depends on what Bitcoin does, right? Then, yeah, you could literally make a strong portfolio with maybe 10% Bitcoin, 15% Ethereum, 40% mid-large caps, and then the rest of them more degen coins. And the degen coins they're going to start going to higher multiples. There's a lot going on here. But let me go back to your next question. Would you agree that optimistic people Hold on 1 second. Sorry. Sure. So I'll open. But I'm in the middle of a live, so you gotta. All right. Good. You up. All right. To go back to your question, would you agree that optimistic people or pessimistic people make the best investors in crypto? Optimistic or pessimistic? You know what I would think? I would think this, right? I would think that it depends on the person, right? That's a really good question. So if someone, I'm going to focus on pessimism. If someone is too pessimistic, I don't expect them to make any money, right? If someone's too pessimistic, actually, I don't expect them to make money. Period. I don't expect them to make money in their job. I don't expect them to do well in relationships. I don't expect them to excel in much in anything, and I definitely don't expect them to do well in investment. And there's difference between being pessimistic and being critical. Those are two different things. So pessimism in and of itself is focused on, it's pretty much a derivative of negativity. So someone that is negative in general is not going to be able to stay consistent. And when they get failures in their life or things that bring them down, they're going to say, I knew it, I was quit, I would quit. So they're not going to achieve anything because they're always quitting. So to answer your question, I answered half of it when I said a pessimistic person will not make it in anything, right, including crypto. Right? So let's go to optimistic. So will an optimistic person make it in crypto? I will say it depends. If the optimistic person is optimistic but realistic, that is the best combination. Optimistic but realistic, right? I think that person can make it in crypto as well as a lot of others, because you almost have to have a positive mindset to make it in life in general. You need this. Give me 1 second. I gotta take you something. I gotta handle it. I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna be right back. Yeah. So yeah, my apologies. So to get back to what I'm saying, can an optimistic person make it in crypto? Yes. Now the people that make it in crypto, we're talking about like a 10% success rate as far as truly making it, right? Maybe even a little bit less than that. Truly making it means life changing. You can change your life. Now let's look at how crypto works. The first cycle that you come into crypto, you lose money. The reason why you lose money is because you come in at the top. The only reason you came into crypto is because you heard people took, they took a small amount of money and they made a mountain of money. And you're hearing this, and it's like, and you're actually paying attention to some of the cryptos, and you see like you looked at ADA, and ADA went from 3 cents in the bear market to, you look at the time you see it, ADA is $2. You're like, oh my God, wow, I can't make money like that anywhere else. So then you come into the market. So that's what happens to the masses. So most people come into crypto because they're seeing money getting multiplied by 20x, and they can't get a 20x anywhere else. So they're optimistic and they're hyped and everything. So they come into the market, but by the time they come in, all the gains, most of the gains have already been made, right? And that's what's about to happen now. Most of the gains will already be made, right? Bitcoin's going to blow past whatever it does. Maybe it goes past 100K, 120K, maybe it does. And then people are going to see that these small cap coins that we're looking at right now, some of them already going 20x, but there are going to be a lot more coins that are going to be going 100x, 200x. Like last cycle, Matic, Solana, these things went 800x. So people are going to see this, and they're going to be shocked, and then they're going to be like, oh my God, I have to get in. So an optimistic person, we're all optimistic when we come in. We're optimistic that we think that we're going to make this crazy money. So we come in, and then we come in at the top, and then the market reverses once we come in. So normal people or the average person, because of this amount of loss, everyone's losing money. They look at crypto and they start saying, "Oh, this thing's a scam. I'm getting out. I'm never going to do this again." So most people never do it again, right? Or they leave the market and they stop paying attention to it. They start paying attention to it again once they see another 800x. That's when they start paying attention to it. So you need to be optimistic, but you also have to, pay attention to what's going on around you. If you see that you're in a bear market, you can't figure out why you're losing money. An optimistic person who's realistic is going to learn. The realistic person is going to learn that the reason why they're continuing to lose money in the bear market is because the market is coming down. That's why they're losing money. And they're going to see, wait a second, this happens every 4 years. So maybe I should stop investing now because we're in a bear market and this is going down. And how long does the bear market normally last? So you have to do this research, even though you're in pain, but you have to be realistic and realize that in a bear market, this is where the realism comes in. Are we bullish or bearish? Did we break the 21-week moving average? Did we break the support band for the bull market? Has the pi cycle indicator, did that hit? Like we have to start being realistic. Like, look, for instance, we're in this bull market, and Bitcoin ends up going to 120, it goes to 200K. And hypothetically, I don't know if that's going to happen, but let's say Bitcoin goes to 200K, and everybody's bullish, and we're like, we're on our way to a million. We're on our way to. Now, are you going to be realistic with yourself and say, this seems like an unusually or an odd number for Bitcoin? It seems kind of high. It seems risky. Everyone around you saying, Bitcoin is going to replace fiat. This is it. Are you going to be able to be different than everybody else? Everyone's going to tell you that we're never coming down again, and that this is the last cycle, and with Bitcoin forever going to be at this level. So if you're optimistic to a point where you cannot take in any other, you can't take in this critical thought or analytical thinking or analytical data because you're so optimistic. If you have blinders on, you're seeing through a tunnel, then you could be overly optimistic. So I would say you need optimism, definitely, but you also have to be realistic. So I will say, whereas the pessimist has no chance at all. The pessimist will not become a multi-millionaire. There's no way, because the pessimist, to become a multi-millionaire or to do well in any market, you have to be able to learn from your failures. The only way that you learn from your failures is to continue to try. You have to fail, and then you have to try again, and you might fail again, then you have to try again. And 90% of people cannot do that. 90% of people cannot work without getting money. People can't work without getting a guaranteed paycheck. At the end of the week, I need to know that for my work, I'm guaranteed to get paid for this. The average person, if they go to work once and then they don't get paid at the end of it, they're discouraged. If they go to work again, and the second time they go to work and they don't get paid for it, they're not working anymore. They're done. It's over. And that's the reason why 90% of the people fail at crypto, but even so, why 90% of businesses fail in general. Because to get on the next level where you're successful in investing, you have to be able to swallow your loss, and it could be a substantial loss, because you're not going to invest in something unless you feel wholeheartedly that this is it. That's when you're going to invest, and since you believe in it so much, you might end up putting a substantial amount of money in there to the point where if you lose that money, it'll be devastating. And 90% of people cannot do that. So to answer your question, the optimist that has realistic expectations and that's willing to learn from their failures and willing to learn from those around them, the humble optimist that's willing to continue going no matter what, those people will succeed. Absolutely. They will definitely succeed. It's the same way like when you're going to college. It's not easy to stay up and study. You're not guaranteed an 80, a 90, or an A on that exam. You're not guaranteed that. You can stay there and you can study and you could read the chapters from front to back and you take the exam and you get a 70 and you're like, I hate everything. I can't believe I only got a 70. I can't believe it. And then you do it again and you keep on going, you get back up and you keep on going. That's why you absolutely have to be optimistic. optimistic, you have to be determined, and you have to not be discouraged. Like, let's say you buy a crypto and you think the crypto is going to do well, and they end up rug pull, right? So if you've been in crypto for any amount of time, you've been rug. You've experienced what it's like to believe in a project and then you wake up one day and you just see a red candle the other way, and you're like, what happened? And you're like, oh, they were hacked. And you're like, what do you mean you were hacked? How were you hacked? I mean, crypto's been around for 12 years. You guys haven't fixed the problem of not being able to be hacked. And sometimes the developer on the team was the one who printed the extra points, right? I've seen projects where the focus of the project is security. That's what they do. They're a security project, it's security blockchain. And these places get hacked. The reason they get hacked is because some of the developers are the ones that took all the money. They printed the points, took everyone's money, and then they claimed they were hacked. So anything can happen in crypto, right? So you have to be able to take that loss and know that it's a possibility. First of all, you have to know that it's a possibility that could happen, even though you dotted your T's, you dotted your I's and crossed your T's, to know that you can still lose money in a very good project. Terra Luna, everyone believed in Terra Luna. There are billions, like $40 billion in Terra Luna, right? FTX, a lot of people believed in FTX. FTX had billions of dollars. And Sam Bankman-Fried was meeting with Gary Gensler, backed by the SEC, right? There were congressmen and congresspeople that were taking pictures with him. People trusted this guy. I mean, I didn't trust him, but a lot of people in crypto trusted Sam Bankman-Fried. A lot of people in crypto trusted all of these icons, right? And these were the businesses and the companies that ended up going to zero. So luckily, I didn't have funds invested in SCX, but I read stories. I was online. I was on Reddit. I read people's stories. You know, this lady that and her husband, she took the funds of the family's funds, 401k, and they put it in FTX. And when everything happened in the way that it happened, you know, she said, I can't believe I was so stupid. I don't believe it. And I told her, no, you were not stupid for what you've done, right? You simply wanted a way to secure your family's future, and you thought that this was going to be the way, right? There are criminals in every industry. It's not a crypto thing. It's not that, oh, crypto is full of scammers and crypto. Yes, crypto has a lot of scammers in it. I agree, right? Yes, but your regular financial institutions have a lot of scammers and a lot of criminals. The banks have a lot of scammers and criminals. All of the big banks, all of them, have been fined. Every year they get fined for embezzling money, for money laundering, for scamming customers. Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, all of them, they get fined every year for this. It's just that in crypto, there's less regulation. So you're going to have more small fishes that pull these kind of things. And to make it through all of that, and to still keep going, to still say, hey, these coins on average, they make a 20x from this point. If I just invest and I diversify, all of them are not going to go to zero. And the ones that don't go to zero, there's a good chance they go to 20x. And you just have to be willing to take the risk. You have to be able to pull the money out, and you have to be able to stick to your plan. That's another thing. If your plan works out the way that it's supposed to, that is my plan too, because I'm in crypto. It works out the way that you're supposed to. We're in May of 2024. By May of 2025, we should see some numbers that don't make sense. We should be seeing some numbers that are just, you know, unfathomable. Like, how could something from this point turn into that? And I think that we've seen some hints of that in the portfolio already, where you've seen multiples of something that you bought for, you know, something that you bought for a small amount, and you've seen this thing go 20x, 30x, and you scratch your chin and you're like, wow, that's something. And if you think about it, it's a very short amount of time, right? It's a short amount of time, 7 months. So you've seen things that have gone 30x, 40x in a matter of 7 months. And the longer you're in crypto, the more you're able to pick the coins that have a greater likelihood of this kind of recurrence. So to piggyback on some of your earlier questions, could the money 10x? I think more than likely it will. If I take my emotions out of it, right, and I just look at it analytically, if it doesn't, that would be surprising, right? Because not only should it 10x from this point, it should 20x. You know, from this point, especially depending on the coin, right? Depending on how far down the risk curve you go, right? There's the high caps and then there's the mid caps. You know, mid caps at this point. If everything happens how it's supposed to, yeah, they should do really, really well. I'm thinking an average 60x mid caps. You know, if we're talking about small caps, if all the small cap has to do is survive. If the small cap survive, they could 30x, 40x, depending on the small cap, right? So yeah, I think that's what will happen. But I think I'm gonna actually get going right now. Okay, but I'm glad that you came aboard and I was able to answer some of your questions. But I will be catching you guys later. Remember, this is Crypto.XL with your market update, and things are going according to plan. Take care.